I refuse to be your bought companion, Mr. Hayes. Sophia's voice quivered just a touch, yet her eyes held firm as she stood in the lavish hotel suite. The golden gown, lent by Olivia, shimmered in the candlelight, illuminating her skin against the soft champagne hue. Jackson Hayes moved nearer, his dark suit flawlessly fitted, his expression a mystery. That's not what this is about, Miss Rivera. Really? Because offering to forgive my grandfather's debt in exchange for me accompanying you to social events sounds exactly like purchasing companionship. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. They stood inches apart, the tension between them thick and electric. Call it what you want. The obligation will be eliminated. Your grandfather maintains his residence. All you have to do is join me at a few events. Why me? Surely there are many women who would leap at the opportunity. That's exactly why. His voice took on a gentle tone. I'm weary of those who seek something from me. Sophia chuckled with a hint of bitterness. And I don't. You are truly leveraging my grandfather's debt to control me. 6 occasions. That's all I ask. She pivoted, her gaze drifting to the window framing Chicago's shimmering skyline. The offer seemed off, but what option remained for her? Miguel's health was declining, and the loss of his home would shatter him. I have conditions, she finally stated. Jackson lifted an eyebrow. I'm all ears. I select my attire. I refuse to be adorned like a mere trophy. Fair enough. No physical contact beyond what's required for appearances. Agreed. And this remains confidential. No one must be aware of this arrangement. Jackson nodded. Is the agreement settled? Sophia inhaled deeply. One final point. Can you clarify the specifics of this debt? Your grandfather took out a loan years back to grow his bakery. The economy collapsed, leaving him unable to settle the debt. Considering the interest, it's quite significant. She offered her hand. Then we have a deal. 3 hours later, Sophia found herself in the opulent ballroom of the Drake Hotel, a champagne flute firmly grasped in her hand. The charity gala thrummed with the energy of Chicago's elite, a blend of old money, new tech fortunes, and ambitious social climbers, all adorned in exquisite designer attire. You're doing wonderfully, Jackson whispered, his hand gently resting on the small of her back as he led her toward another gathering. The board members are impressed. Impressing them isn't my goal, she responded softly. I'm honoring our agreement. Regardless, you have a gift. That discussion on Renaissance restoration methods had Bradford utterly enthralled. Despite her reservations, Sophia experienced a moment of pride. Her role at the Lakefront Museum ignited her passion, despite the fact that few in her everyday life truly grasped it. Jackson, a tall and distinguished figure, made his way toward them. And who is this vision? David Morrison, introducing Sophia Rivera, an art conservator at the Lakefront Museum. David's handshake was warm, truly a delight. Jackson had never introduced anyone with real depth to these gatherings before. Jackson cast a cautionary glance in his direction, but David just smiled. As the night unfolded, Sophia began to feel a bit more at ease. The initial embarrassment of the situation diminished as she participated in meaningful discussions about art and conservation. Jackson stayed focused, his hand lightly grazing hers from time to time, his gaze tender when he believed she was unaware. As the clock approached midnight, Sophia stepped away to the ladies' room. Upon her return, she caught snippets of conversation drifting through a slightly ajar terrace door. She's unique, Liv. I'm not sure if she'll make it. That was David speaking. She appears delightful, a woman responded. But is she aware of the reality? Concerning what? The obligation. There is no obligation, you see. Jack spotted her at the museum fundraiser last month and couldn't help but rave about her. Upon learning that her grandfather was the proprietor of that quaint bakery, he discreetly acquired the building via a shell company. Goodness, Olivia. He concocted a financial obligation to see her. That's quite beneath him, even for his standards. He claimed she wouldn't acknowledge him at all otherwise. It seemed she had dismissed him outright at the fundraiser. Sophia took a step back, her heart racing. The atmosphere in the room shifted, warmth enveloping me, while the lights blazed with an intensity that was almost overwhelming. Debt was non-existent. She had consented to be Jackson's eye-catching companion, built on a total falsehood. She cast her gaze over to him, effortlessly engaging with the donors in conversation. His smile appeared malevolent, meticulously crafted. She had been manipulated by a man who saw individuals as mere objects to be possessed. Sophia clutched her purse and shawl, hurrying toward the door. She would face him tomorrow. This evening, she felt the urgent need to slip away before she created a spectacle that would only deepen her humiliation. As she settled into the waiting taxi, she cast a final look at the shimmering hotel. There was no doubt about it. Their arrangement had undergone a significant transformation. "You lied to me." Sophia's voice sliced through the crisp morning air on the garden terrace of the Drake Hotel. She called Jackson at dawn, insisting on a meeting. Jackson's confident exterior wavered. "I can explain. Could you clarify what you mean? So you created a debt to ensnare me into a relationship with you? That my grandfather's home was always safe?" She stood with her arms crossed, the skyline of Chicago looming behind her. "I wouldn't refer to it as dating." "Please don't." Sophia lifted her hand. "I heard your sister last night. There's no debt. You acquired my grandfather's building via a shell company to deceive me." Jackson sighed, raking his fingers through his dark hair. Yes, the straightforward acknowledgement took her by surprise. She had anticipated refusals, justifications. "Why not just ask me out like a regular person?" "I did. During the museum's fundraising event." "You shut me down," Sophia said, her brow furrowing. Then understanding emerged. "The individual who continuously inquired about restoration methods? That was you? You stated, and I quote, 'I don't date people who view art as a financial asset.' So you chose to fabricate the truth about my grandfather's livelihood instead?" "It wasn't my best moment," Jackson conceded. "Listen, I'm not exactly skilled at this, typical social exchanges. I noticed you, felt a pull to connect, and fell back on my usual strategies. Well, our business is concluded." Sophia turned to leave. "Wait," Jackson stepped forward. "You're justified in your anger, but I can still assist those in need." Sophia took a moment to reflect. "What are you trying to say?" "I can provide funding for that art program you mentioned, aimed at underprivileged kids in the South Side. No strings attached." She examined his expression for any signs of deceit. "Why would you do that?" "Perhaps I wish to demonstrate that I am not the monster you believe me to be." "And what would you receive in exchange?" "Nothing," he hesitated. "Unless you'd think about continuing our public appearances, not as a paid companion, but as someone offering me a second chance." Sophia laughed in disbelief. "You're unbelievable, maybe." His expression shifted to one of seriousness. "But the offer for the art program stands regardless of your decision." There was a certain weight in his voice that caused her to pause. "I'll think about it." 2 weeks later, Sophia found herself at Wrigley Field, observing Jackson as he cheered passionately for the Cubs' score. "I never would have guessed you were into baseball," she called out above the din of the crowd. "It's a cherished family tradition," he responded. "My foster dad took me to every home game that summer I spent with them." Felt different, an unasked for glimpse into personal history. Their new setup had started off clumsily, with Sophia consenting to keep appearing alongside Jackson while he supported the art program. Yet she had set firm boundaries, truthfulness was paramount. "How many foster homes did you stay in?" she inquired as the audience quieted. 7 between ages 8 and 18. His gaze remained fixed on the field. The Clarks, known for their deep-rooted connection to baseball, truly stood out as the finest. 3 months of routine before the system shifted my path once more. I apologize. Do not be. Fosters resilience, as the saying goes. His effort to appear carefree could not conceal the sorrow lurking underneath. Sophia reflected on her own childhood, challenging after the loss of her parents, yet steady thanks to Miguel's constant affection. Is that why you became so unyielding? Perhaps. I discovered early on that people tend to depart, so it's wiser to dictate the conditions. Their dialogue halted as the crowd roared once more. Jackson's phone vibrated. He scowled at the display. Issue? What did you mean by that? Sophia inquired. Simply focus on your tasks. Nothing urgent. He slipped the phone into his pocket, refocusing on her. Now, tell me about your grandfather. Did he bring you up? Following the car accident, indeed. He taught high school chemistry before starting the bakery. Sacrificed his pension to support me. Her voice was filled with warmth. He juggled 2 jobs so I could pursue art history. He appears to be a decent individual. The best. She examined Jackson closely. That's why your deception cut so deep. The idea of him losing his home weighed heavily. I see that now, Jackson replied softly. I didn't consider how it would impact him or you. I was focused on my own desires. The candor took her aback. As autumn unfolded, there were more excursions, art gallery openings, dining experiences at the best restaurants in Chicago, and even a Halloween charity event, where Jackson donned a Gatsby costume to match Sophia's portrayal of Daisy Buchanan. Slowly, the tension between them began to ease. While Sophia was busy cataloging new acquisitions at the museum, Olivia Hayes made her entrance at the office doorway. Lunch? Olivia put forth the idea. I come in peace. Over sandwiches at a nearby cafe, Olivia got straight to the point. He behaves differently around you. Different in what way? More joyful, more relatable. Olivia swirled her iced tea. Our upbringing was challenging. Following our parents' passing, we were split apart in the system. Jack dedicated years to searching for me. However, he discovered you after achieving his first million. He's motivated by the fear of losing it all once more. Olivia leaned in closer. I'm not justifying his actions, but I'm urging you to understand the reasons behind them. I'm making an effort, Sophia confessed. Additionally, keep an eye on Vanessa Palmer. She has returned to town, and her influence over Jack has always been strong. Who is Vanessa? His former partner, a master at extracting wealth, almost cost him millions in the divorce. That sheds light on some of Jackson's trust issues. Before Sophia could reply, her phone began to ring. Miguel is reaching out regarding our dinner arrangements. Meanwhile, across town, David Morrison found himself seated opposite Jackson in his office. The art program is impressive, David remarked. But what's your ultimate goal with Sophia? There is no conclusion. We have a pact. Bull, you're falling for her. Jackson's jaw clenched. We have a business relationship, right? David reclined in his chair. Exercise caution. She stands apart from the typical women. If you're playing games, I'm not, Jackson cut in with a sharp tone. Good. Because she seems like someone worth keeping around. David glanced at his watch. Now onto the Morrison contract. As they transitioned to business, Jackson's mind wandered to Sophia. Her laughter at the baseball game, the fervent way she had described a painting's restoration, and the accidental brush of her hand against his during their last dinner. The terms of their agreement were fading into insignificance, and that understanding filled him with a deeper fear than any corporate raid could evoke. It's perfect, Sophia murmured, tears brimming in her eyes as she gazed at the transformed community center. What was once a neglected building now brimmed with vibrant studios, top-notch art supplies, and walls eager to embrace the creations of budding artists. Jackson stood beside her, observing her reaction with a sense of fulfillment that surpassed even the thrill of closing billion-dollar deals. The classes are set to commence next week. I can't believe you did all this. She turned to him, momentarily letting go of her usual composure. You are responsible for this. I just provided funding. He gestured toward the main wall. I thought we could display rotating exhibits from the students here. The opening event attracted community leaders, families, and media. Miguel sat in the audience, beaming as his granddaughter eloquently expressed her fervent beliefs about the transformative nature of art. Seeing him grasp Jackson's hand with heartfelt appreciation caused a stir of mixed feelings within Sophia. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of amber and gold across Lake Michigan, Jackson proposed a stroll along the shoreline. "You were incredible today," he remarked, his hands tucked into his pockets as they walked side by side. "Those children already have a deep affection for you. Creativity became my refuge after the loss of my parents. I wish to share that with others." They paused at a viewpoint, the city skyline shimmering in the background. Jackson turned to face her, the usual boardroom assurance giving way to a more exposed emotion. "Sophia, these past weeks," he paused, searching for the right words. "This isn't just about our arrangement anymore. At least not for me." Before she had a chance to reply, he leaned in, their lips connecting with a surprising softness. The kiss was fleeting yet charged, rendering her breathless as he drew back. "I apologize," he responded right away. "I shouldn't have." "No, it's—" She touched her lips, taken aback by her disappointment as he paused. "It's okay." They lingered in a tense silence before turning back, their hands occasionally grazing against each other. "She's inexperienced, you know." Vanessa's voice flowed like silk as she sat across from Jackson in his office the following week. She had asked for a meeting regarding possible investments, but swiftly redirected the discussion to Sophia. "My relationship with Sophia isn't your concern," Jackson responded icily. Vanessa chuckled softly. "Relationship? Please. She's obviously playing the innocent card. It's quite clever, really. The innocent artist's persona. You're unfamiliar with her. I recognize her kind." Feigning innocence while assessing your finances, Vanessa leaned in closer. What other reason could there be for a museum girl to suddenly show up on the arm of Chicago's most eligible bachelor? "We're finished here," Jackson rose. "Just take care, darling. Recall how persuasive I was? At least I was truthful about what I wanted." She collected her purse. "Consider the true reasons behind her presence in your life." Once she departed, Jackson gazed at the Chicago skyline, Vanessa's words digging in like unwelcome guests, no matter how hard he tried to shake them off. With Thanksgiving on the horizon, the air turned brisk and festive preparations began. Sophia extended an invitation to Jackson for Miguel's traditional dinner, a meaningful gesture she acknowledged but didn't fully contemplate. "Are you certain about this?" When she extended the invitation, Jackson inquired. "Meeting your grandfather in an official capacity is a significant milestone. He has already encountered you at the program's opening. As your business associate, this is a different matter." She smiled. "I want you there." The night before Thanksgiving, they attended the annual charity gala at the Art Institute. Sophia donned a stunning emerald green outfit, her hair gracefully arranged with the vintage hair clip that Miguel had gifted her for graduation. "You're stunning," Jackson whispered as they entered. His hand rested comfortably on her lower back, the touch now a soothing and cherished presence. The evening unfolded beautifully until Sophia emerged from the ladies' room, only to discover Vanessa Palmer deep in conversation with Jackson. "Ah, here she is now," Vanessa remarked, her smile sharp and calculating. The creative force who had captivated Chicago's most formidable businessman. "Vanessa," Jackson's voice carried a note of caution. "I was just sharing your delightful origin tale with everyone," Vanessa continued. "How Jackson fabricated a false debt to manipulate you into becoming his companion." The gathering of socialites shifted their gaze. Sophia stood still, paralyzed. "Isn't it just delightful, everyone?" He acquired her grandfather's property, issued an eviction threat, and proposed to waive the non-existent debt in exchange for her companionship. Vanessa's voice resonated. Naturally, she's adopting the guise of the naive maiden, compelling him to put in the effort. Brilliant strategy. Humiliation seared through Sophia. Even more painful was Jackson's silence, his reluctance to stand up for her right away. "That's not what happened," he eventually stated. Yet the harm had already been inflicted. Sophia retreated, colliding with a waiter. "Pardon me?" she murmured, pivoting to escape. "Sophia, hold on," Jackson shouted after her. Outside, The rain drenched her delicate wrap as she desperately signaled for a taxi, her tears blending with the raindrops on her cheeks. "Sophia, please," Jackson called out as he hurried to reach her on the steps. "Ignore her. She's distorting everything." "It's not about what she said," Sophia's voice trembled. "It's that you didn't refute it right away." There was a moment of uncertainty, Jackson. "Even after all that has happened, you still believed I could be taking advantage of you." "I didn't." "Yes, you did. I saw your face." The taxi arrived, and she opened the door. "I trusted you. I found myself captivated by you. Yet, can you ever really place your trust in another? That seems unjust. Neither was allowing me to think my grandfather might lose his home." She settled into the taxi. "Please don't contact me again." As the taxi pulled away, Sophia pressed her forehead against the cool window, observing Jackson's silhouette diminish in the rain. The warmth she had started to experience with him shifted into a hollow ache in her chest, the memory of their lakeside kiss lingering on her lips. Snow fell ceaselessly outside the museum windows as Sophia carefully polished an 18th century frame. December had come, bringing with it a biting cold that mirrored her mood. 3 weeks had slipped by since the fateful gala night. "You ought to head home, Sophia," her supervisor remarked, peering into the conservation room. "The tempest is intensifying. I'll finish this section first." Alone once more, Sophia let out a heavy sigh. She immersed herself in her work, eagerly taking on extra projects and weekend shifts, anything to distract herself from thoughts of Jackson. He had attempted to reach out to her. Messages, phone calls, and even floral arrangements sent to the museum. She had sent the flowers back and cut off communication. The art program moved forward without her participation. She had requested a colleague to assume her responsibilities. Her phone vibrated with a message from Miguel. "Dinner's ready when you get home, Mija. Don't work too late." The straightforward message filled her eyes with tears. Miguel had been her steadfast companion during these recent weeks, never inquiring for specifics, but providing gentle encouragement. What would she do in his absence? Across town, Jackson graciously accepted an award for Business Leader of the Year, maintaining a smile as photographers documented the occasion. The ballroom of the Four Seasons hummed with the energy of Chicago's business elite, yet he found himself feeling estranged from the festivities. "Speech!" A voice rang out. Jackson stepped up to the microphone. "I appreciate this recognition. Hayes Enterprises champions creativity and determination." As he presented his rehearsed speech, his gaze swept across the room, irrationally wishing to catch a glimpse of Sophia. She had transformed him in ways he was just starting to grasp. Later, David discovered him solitary on the terrace, undeterred by the biting cold. "Congratulations," David said, handing him a whiskey, though he looked more like he was at a funeral than celebrating. "I'm fine." "Of course you are." David rested against the railing. "Have you spoken to her?" "She ignores my calls." "Can you really blame her? Your ex made a fool of her, and you just stood there like a statue." Jackson flinched. "I was in shock." "You were questioning her." David's tone grew stern. "Even after all that has happened, you still believed she could be playing you. I understand that now. Then make the necessary corrections." "In what way?" "She won't even talk to me," David sighed. "For someone so astute in business, you can be surprisingly oblivious." "We're slashing the restoration department budget by 30%, the museum director declared at the staff meeting. Sophia felt the ground give way beneath her. "But we're already short on staff. I apologize. The Thompson Foundation has withdrawn their funding, necessitating budget cuts on our part." The Thompson Foundation, a subsidiary of Hayes Enterprises, found itself in a tense moment as Sophia confronted the director following the meeting. "Is this related to Jackson Hayes? Did he withdraw the funding?" The director appeared perplexed. "This was arranged well in advance, with budget adjustments made accordingly. What could possibly connect Hayes to this situation?" Sophia was filled with regret over her assumption. Certainly, Jackson wouldn't stoop to such pettiness, yet the budget cuts signaled potential layoffs, which could jeopardize her position. As she trudged home through the falling snow, her mind was consumed with thoughts of securing new employment amidst the fierce competition of Chicago's museum scene. The creative endeavor could have served as a different path, yet that link has now been cut off. Within the confines of her apartment, she discovered Miguel engaged in the act of preparing dinner, his movements noticeably more languid than they typically were. "You ought to be resting, abuelo," she admonished softly. "I'm all right, just a bit weary," he replied, brushing her concern aside. Later that night, Sophia was stirred awake by the harsh sound of Miguel's violent coughing. As she flicked the switch, the illumination revealed crimson stains on his handkerchief. "I'm calling an ambulance," she declared, her fingers swiftly moving over the screen. "No, Mija, it's nothing." "It's not nothing." Her hands trembled as she relayed their address to the dispatcher. The following hours unfolded in a haze of harsh emergency room lights, anxious doctors, and daunting medical jargon. Pneumonia, exacerbated by Miguel's pre-existing heart condition. He required specialized attention, perhaps even surgery. "We must conduct additional tests," the physician articulated. "He'll need to stay several days at minimum." Sophia nodded, her mind racing as she assessed their meager insurance coverage and her rapidly depleting savings. The museum's health plan was hardly sufficient. "I'll come up with a solution," she promised the slumbering Miguel, gently holding his hand. As the first light of dawn illuminated the snow-blanketed streets of Chicago, Sophia found herself seated in the hospital cafeteria, grappling with the weight of escalating medical expenses and an unsettling sense of uncertainty. Her own troubles, Jackson, her job, felt insignificant in the face of the potential loss of Miguel. "Ms. Rivera," a nurse approached her table. "Your grandfather has been transferred to a private room in the cardiology department. Dr. Winters, the specialist, has been assigned to his case." Sophia frowned, her expression clouded with concern. "I didn't ask for a specialist or a private room. We can't afford it. It's already been arranged," the nurse smiled. "All expenses are covered." "By whom?" The administrator mentioned it was anonymous. Sophia recognized it instantly. Regardless of the circumstances, Jackson was making an effort to assist. A part of her felt inclined to decline out of pride, yet Miguel's well-being took precedence over her emotions. As Christmas drew near, she devoted her days to Miguel's bedside, observing his gradual recovery under the specialist's watchful eye. The hospital room was adorned with poinsettias and cards from art program students, each a poignant reminder of Jackson's enduring influence in her life. On Christmas Eve, while sitting next to a slumbering Miguel, Sophia finally permitted herself to weep, overwhelmed by the pain of betrayal, the persistent emotions she couldn't dismiss, and the hollowness that had taken residence in her heart since that rainy night outside the Art Institute. "He covered all the expenses, didn't he?" Miguel's inquiry shattered the cozy stillness of their living room in late January. After weeks spent in the sterile confines of the hospital, he finally returned home, cocooned in blankets even though the apartment radiated warmth. Sophia lifted her gaze from the pages of her book. "What?" "Jackson Hayes. He organized the specialist's visit to the private room." She let out a sigh. "How did you find out?" The nurse brought up an arts foundation that took care of the costs. "I might be old, but I'm not foolish, Mija." Miguel's gaze was kind. "Why didn't you share this with me?" "It's not simple. Relationships often tend to be that way." He adjusted his position in the chair. "He came to see me, you know." Sophia almost let her book slip from her hands. "What? When will it be?" "A few times during your work hours." He didn't linger, just made sure I was okay. Miguel observed her response. "He didn't want to upset you by making his help known." "I don't understand him," Sophia admitted. "First the lie, then the humiliation at the gala, and now this." "People are complicated, Sophia. Errors are a part of our journey. The inquiry lies in our capacity to glean insights from them." Miguel extended his hand toward his tea. "Have I ever shared the tale of how your grandmother and I crossed paths? At the university, wasn't it? That's the narrative we spun for everyone." He grinned at her astonished look. Honestly, I was in a relationship with her sister before. Abuelo, I was naive back then. When I discovered my feelings for your grandmother instead, it sparked quite the family uproar. His eyes sparkled with the recollection. She ignored me for months. What happened? I demonstrated my seriousness, not through extravagant displays, but by maintaining consistency and honesty. He placed his cup down. At times, those who truly deserve our affection are the ones who push us to improve ourselves. Sophia took in his words, reflecting on Jackson's evolution from a shrewd entrepreneur to a person willing to assist in silence, seeking no reward. I'm not suggesting you should forgive him right away, Miguel continued. Just consider that individuals have the capacity for transformation when presented with motivation. The following morning, Sophia found an email regarding Hayes Enterprises' newly established Community Arts Foundation. A press release was included, detailing Jackson's company's restructuring efforts aimed at emphasizing ethical business practices and investing in the community. Her curiosity overwhelmed her. She delved into the latest updates regarding Hayes Enterprises, uncovering business articles that highlighted Jackson's surprising pivot in corporate strategy, focusing on employee benefits, ethical sourcing, and significant arts funding throughout Chicago. The sound of her phone pierced the silence. Olivia, before you hang up, Olivia urged. Just listen to me for a moment. The foundation is set to launch next week at Navy Pier. Kindly make your way here, Olivia. He's not the same, Sophia. I've never witnessed him in this way. He's rejecting offers that could bring in millions because they don't resonate with the new company values. David believes he's on the brink of a breakdown. I think he's on a journey of self-discovery. Sophia recalled Miguel's insights about personal transformation. I'll think about it. Once the call ended, she pulled open her desk drawer and retrieved the small velvet box she had received for Christmas, containing a delicate vintage hair clip reminiscent of the one Miguel had given her for graduation, accompanied by a note. I observed the deep appreciation you held for the one your grandfather gifted you. No conditions involved. J. She had nearly sent it back without a glance, yet something had held her back. Now clarity washed over her. The spring air carried a hopeful warmth as Sophia made her way to Navy Pier. She had kept her arrival a secret, bracing herself to retreat with every step she took. The venue, with its view of Lake Michigan, was bustling with arts educators, community leaders, and business professionals. Sophia entered silently, positioning herself at the rear as Jackson made his way to the podium. He appeared changed, leaner with faint traces of fatigue. Yet, when he spoke, his voice resonated with the same assurance. Welcome to the launch of the Hayes Community Arts Foundation, he commenced. This initiative signifies more than just corporate giving. It's a pivotal transformation in the way Hayes Enterprises functions. As he detailed the foundation's objectives, Sophia could sense the fervor in his tone, a sentiment she had only witnessed when he reminisced about his sister or his early years. Many of you are curious about this shift in focus, Jackson went on. The truth is, someone special revealed to me that success isn't defined by what we possess, but by the difference we make. His gaze swept across the room, pausing when it landed on her. For a brief moment, he hesitated, visibly taken aback by her presence. I made mistakes, he went on, regaining his composure. I attempted to dictate results rather than cultivate trust. I evaluated connections as if they were mere business deals. Sophia held her ground, sensing the intrigued looks directed at her from those who noticed Jackson's attention. This foundation thrives because of someone courageous enough to assert herself and guide me toward a more meaningful path. His tone became gentler. She taught me that true wealth lies in uplifting others, not in wielding power or control. After the speech, Sophia remained in her spot while people flocked to congratulate Jackson. He approached her gradually, as if fearing she might vanish. You came? He said it plainly when he arrived at her side. My grandfather persuaded me to listen to you. How is he doing? Recovering well thanks to the care he received. She met his eyes directly. Care you arranged? It was the bare minimum I could offer. A tense stillness lingered in the air until Sophia broke the quiet once more. The foundation is impressive. It's just the beginning, he paused. Sophia, about that night. Not here, she cut in. So many years gone by. They retreated to a serene terrace that offered a view of the lake. Planters along the railing were adorned with the first blooms of spring flowers. I ought to have stood up for you right away, Jackson said. There's no excuse. No, there isn't. For a fleeting moment, I allowed my old insecurities to take control. I've lived my life anticipating ulterior motives, and in that moment of uncertainty, I caused pain to the one person who had truly been sincere with me. He held her gaze unwaveringly. I'm not seeking absolution. I want you to know that I see what I did. The straightforward recognition, free from justifications or demands, resonated with something deep within Sophia. Miguel mentioned that you stopped by to see him. I aimed to provide him with the finest care possible. I anticipated that you would be reluctant to accept assistance from me directly. I appreciate that. She glanced over at the lake. The foundation, the company evolves. Was it all triggered by our past? You were the spark, he confessed. However, as soon as I began to scrutinize one facet of my existence, all other elements unraveled in its wake. It appears that harsh strategies and deceit do not lead to a truly satisfying life. A subtle smile danced at the corners of her mouth. Who could have imagined? The gentle wind wafted the fragrance of spring, while they shared a moment of quiet togetherness. Nothing was settled, yet a change had occurred, a melting of the frost that had lingered between them. So you're giving him another chance? Carla asked, arranging pottery samples in the museum's conservation lab. As Sophia's closest work friend, she'd witnessed the entire Jackson saga. We're taking it slow, Sophia replied, carefully documenting a ceramic restoration, embarking on a new chapter in a sense. 2 months had passed since the launch of the foundation. Spring had completely enveloped Chicago, infusing the city with warmth and a sense of renewal that reflected Sophia's careful hopefulness. She and Jackson started with coffee meetings, casual and public, before moving on to strolls along the lakefront. Slow is good, Carla nodded with a sense of satisfaction. Let him earn it. It's not about making him strive for anything. It's about creating something genuine this time. That evening, Jackson collected her from the museum for dinner at a quaint Italian restaurant in Little Italy, a world away from the high-end places he usually visited. My foster mother was Italian, he shared as they took their seats at a cozy corner table. She instructed culinary classes at the community center. On my 15th birthday, she prepared lasagna using her grandmother's cherished recipe. Is that the reason you selected this location? Somewhat. He appeared a bit sheepish. I've been making an effort to revisit uplifting moments from my history. David mentioned that it could be beneficial for my trust issues. Sophia arched an eyebrow. You're actually seeing a therapist? Twice weekly. He merely shrugged at her look of surprise. You were correct in saying that I never really place my trust in anyone. I'm trying to change that. His vulnerability resonated with her. This was a different Jackson from the shrewd businessman who had suggested their initial deal. I'm proud of you, she said softly. His hand reached for hers across the table. I'm striving to become someone deserving of a second opportunity. By July, the Children's Art Initiative had grown to 3 sites throughout Chicago. Sophia divided her time between the museum and overseeing programs, deriving joy from the excitement of the children. Ms. Rivera, check out what I created. 8-year-old Zoe proudly displayed her vibrant collage. It's beautiful. Sophia crouched to examine the artwork. Tell me about these shapes. As Zoe excitedly explained her creative choices, Sophia noticed Jackson in the doorway, watching with a gentle expression she once wouldn't have believed possible from him. As he strolled through the park, Jackson appeared lost in thought. Is everything all right? Sophia inquired. I came across the budget report for the Southside Center. Enrollment has increased by 30%. The queue continues to grow with each passing week. We require additional space and more educators. Jackson acknowledged with a thoughtful nod. I've been contemplating that. What if we transformed the old Hayes warehouse on 35th Street? It's been vacant since we relocated our operations. That would be incredible, though it would require considerable renovation. I've already consulted with architects about it. It's structurally sound. His enthusiasm was palpable. We could establish a genuine arts campus. Studios, classrooms, exhibition space. Sophia beamed at his excitement. You're truly dedicated to this, aren't you? It holds significance for you, so it holds significance for me. He grasped her hand. But it's beyond that now. I have witnessed the transformative power of these programs. I want to be part of that change. The genuine honesty of his words filled her with warmth. Their relationship had brought about a profound transformation in both of them. She had developed a deeper sense of self-worth that transcended her career abilities, while he had unearthed a sense of meaning that went beyond the pursuit of riches. Just as they were lost in their moment, Sophia's phone rang, breaking the spell. Miguel was calling to discuss dinner plans. Jackson frequently participated in Miguel's customary Sunday gatherings, where the two men connected through chess and conversations about Miguel's bakery. Let him know I'll be bringing dessert, Jackson said as she picked up the phone. One Sunday evening in August, Vanessa arrived at Miguel's apartment door just as they were wrapping up dinner. Jackson, darling, she cooed when he opened the door. I had a feeling you would be here. Sophia stiffened, recalling the embarrassment of the gala evening. What is it that you desire, Vanessa? Jackson's voice carried a chilling tone. I just wanted to discuss business. Hayes Enterprises stock is declining due to your new charitable approach. She cast a dismissive glance at Sophia. There are concerns among certain board members. However, the board has approved all changes. Jackson entered the hallway, leaving the door slightly ajar. And our total valuation has increased. For the time being, I've been in discussions with investors who are raising concerns about your concentration. Her tone softened. They are exploring alternatives, which may involve changes in leadership. When Jackson re-entered, his face reflected unease. Is everything all right? Sophia inquired. Just the usual business politics. He replied with a reassuring smile, though she could see the tension in his shoulders. Later that week, Sophia got an unsettling call from David. Vanessa's orchestrating a board uprising, he clarified. She's persuaded a number of crucial investors that Jackson's emphasis on community is detrimental to profits. But that's not accurate, is it? No, we're actually more stable than before. But Vanessa's manipulative and she's targeting the newer board members. David sighed. He must get ready for the quarterly meeting next week. Yet he seems preoccupied. He refuses to hear me out. What options do I have? Assist him in concentrating. Remind him why this new direction matters. That evening, Sophia unexpectedly visited Jackson at his office, where he was immersed in spreadsheets and reports. Burning the midnight oil? She inquired. He glanced up, weariness clear on his face. Sophia, what brings you here? David reached out to me. She positioned herself opposite him. Share the details with me, Jackson detailed, outlining Vanessa's strategies, the looming board vote, and the threat to all he had constructed in recent months. I will not compromise the foundation, he declared resolutely, even if it requires him to step down as CEO. It won't come to that, Sophia assured him. You've crafted something significant that also stands on solid financial ground. Present the figures, but also highlight the significance. They collaborated on his presentation, blending financial data with tangible illustrations of community advantages. When the board meeting commenced, Jackson stepped in with assured resolve. 3 hours later, he reached out to Sophia with the update. The board had unanimously turned down Vanessa's proposals, reinforcing their backing for his leadership. We did it, he exclaimed, relief clear in his voice. The Arts Campus project has received approval. I always believed in you, Sophia said sincerely. The one-year anniversary celebration of the inaugural art program location took place on a splendid September evening. Children's artwork adorned the walls, and families filled the venue with joy and chatter. Jackson appeared unusually anxious as he guided Sophia to a secluded spot. "I have something to ask you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Is everything okay?" "More than okay," he exhaled, a sense of relief washing over him. "This past year has changed me in ways I never thought possible. You pushed me to improve, to look beyond mere transactions and control." He pulled out a small vintage ring box from his pocket. It belonged to my foster mother, the one who made birthday lasagna. She was the first to demonstrate the essence of unconditional love. He opened the box, unveiling a simple yet elegant ring adorned with a small diamond encircled by sapphires. "I'm not asking due to societal pressures or business benefits. I'm asking because I love you, simply and completely." Tears welled in Sophia's eyes as he pressed on. "Sofia Rivera, will you marry me, not as part of any arrangement or deal, but as partners building a life of purpose together?" "Yes," she whispered, her heart brimming with joy. "Yes." As he slid the ring onto her finger, a wave of applause filled the air. Miguel, Olivia, David, and the program staff observed from afar. "You all knew?" Sophia chuckled, her eyes glistening with joyful tears. "He sought my blessing last week," Miguel confessed, wrapping his arms around them both. Under the warm lights of the community center they had built together, surrounded by the fruits of their shared vision, Jackson kissed her, not with the uncertainty of their first lakeside kiss, but with the assured love of a man who had finally discovered his true treasure. "A year has passed. Please hold still," Olivia said softly, as she carefully adjusted the delicate flower crown in Sophia's hair. "You look perfect." Sophia inhaled deeply, her fingers gliding over the elegant ivory gown that cascaded gracefully to her ankles. "I just want everything to be perfect." "It already is," Olivia reassured her, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. Jack is nearly bursting with excitement. In a modest room next to the community garden, a previously neglected lot had been reborn into a thriving oasis, complete with meandering paths, colorful blooms, and a central gazebo where Jackson awaited. The garden symbolized all they had created as a team, with beauty flourishing from the most surprising corners. "Ready?" Miguel stood in the doorway, looking sharp in his suit, his health completely revitalized. Sophia nodded, linking her arm with his. As they emerged into the open, the close-knit circle of friends and family shifted their attention to her. The delicate strains of a string quartet drifted through the warm summer air, yet Sophia scarcely registered the melody, her gaze fixed solely on Jackson. Upon seeing her, his expression caused her heart to swell. The calculating businessman who had initially suggested their arrangement was no longer present. Instead, a man emerged, transformed by love and purpose, his eyes brimming with emotions he no longer attempted to hide. "You look absolutely stunning," he murmured as she approached him. The ceremony was short yet profound, featuring vows crafted by the couple themselves. "I vow to have faith in our path ahead," Jackson declared, his tone unwavering as he placed a modest ring on her finger. "True wealth is not found in what we own, but in the moments we share with others. You didn't just change my heart, Sophia. You helped me discover it." Sophia's voice quivered just a bit as she spoke. "I vow to be by your side as a true companion, to push you when necessary and to offer my unwavering support." What started as an arrangement has transformed into the most genuine relationship of my life. As they sealed their vows with a kiss, cheers erupted from their intimate gathering. Miguel wiped tears from his eyes while David whistled in approval. The reception unfolded in the garden's open space, with tables thoughtfully arranged around a cozy dance floor. Fairy lights sparkled above as dusk embraced Chicago. David's best man speech had the audience alternating between laughter and tears. "When I first met Sophia, I knew she was trouble," he started with a smile. This was not the sort of situation Jackson typically encountered, the type that threatened to upend his meticulously maintained reality. "Thank God she did." He lifted his glass in honor of the woman who achieved what board members, business partners, and even family had failed to do. transforming Jackson Hayes into a decent human being. As the laughter faded, David's tone turned grave. In all seriousness, I've known Jack for 15 years, and I've never seen him happier or more fulfilled than he is with you, Sophia. You didn't merely change his heart. You revealed to him that it was one worth following. As the evening unfolded, Sophia observed Miguel dancing with Olivia, the two having cultivated a unique bond throughout the past year. Jackson turned his attention to where she was looking. Your grandfather looks happy, he noted, his arm around her waist. Indeed, he is. The expanded bakery keeps him engaged but not stressed. Miguel's quaint bakery had flourished with Jackson's backing, preserving its allure while evolving into a beloved community staple. I have news, Jackson said, guiding her to a secluded corner. The arts campus is poised for final approval. Work will commence next month. That's absolutely delightful. The project transformed into a grand vision, far surpassing their original expectations, becoming a vibrant arts center that caters to communities throughout Chicago. There's more. His eyes gleamed with enthusiasm. The National Arts Council aims to adopt our program as a blueprint for other cities. They're providing significant financial support to duplicate it in Detroit, Cleveland, and Milwaukee. Sophia was filled with a deep sense of pride, not only in the program's achievements but also in the journey they had both undertaken. Do you recall our initial meeting? She inquired, a faint smile gracing her lips. How could I possibly forget? The fear of you walking away haunted me. I nearly went through with it. Each day I feel thankful that you chose not to. He pressed his lips to her hand, where her wedding ring now lay. Or perhaps that you returned even after you had left. As dusk settled in, they quietly departed from the festivities, making their way to the serene garden's border, where a modest bench offered a view of the city skyline. I have something for you, Jackson said, retrieving a slender envelope from his jacket. Present for the wedding. Within the confines of the room, Sophia discovered papers pertaining to a trust set up in Miguel's name, intended to provide scholarships for students pursuing art conservation. This is amazing, she murmured. It's what I ought to have presented from the start. Genuine care and encouragement, free from deceit. He gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I was pondering. Risky, she quipped. Maybe, he grinned. However, I was contemplating the apartment situated above the arts campus. The arrangements encompass accommodations for the director. Are you proposing that we relocate? I'm proposing that we think about making it our home for at least part of the time, so we can be nearer to the programs and the students. The proposal resonated with Sophia, highlighting just how profoundly his priorities had changed. What about your penthouse with its spectacular view? She inquired. I found that I favor the view right here. His gaze locked onto hers, the straightforward honesty of his words requiring no further adornment. As the melodies from the reception floated through the air, it signaled their moment to step back for the concluding dance. As they strolled back together, hand in hand, Sophia pondered their unexpected transformation from a calculated business deal to a true partnership. What started as a deception evolved into the most genuine connection she had ever experienced, demonstrating that occasionally, the heart discovers its truth through unforeseen journeys. Despite his immense wealth and sharp business sense, Jackson's most significant triumph lay in his ability to embrace the potential of love. For Sophia, who had always held authenticity in the highest regard, the most unexpected revelation was discovering it in the man who had once represented its antithesis. Under the garden lights, enveloped by the community they had nurtured, they swayed to the music's soft cadence, the future unfolding before them, not as a meticulously crafted strategy, but as a journey they would explore together, one genuine step at a time.